Court will be back in session Tuesday after a federal judge refused to rule on a request by Federal Reserve Board Governor Lisa Cook Friday to temporarily bar President Trump from firing her. Cook is embroiled in a mortgage fraud scandal. And today, Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte provided evidence showing matching signatures allegedly from Cook, listing both Atlanta and Michigan as her primary residence. Cook's lawyer argued at Friday's hearing that this is politically motivated, while Democrats are calling for Trump's removal from office.
It is time to call for Article 25 of the Constitution of the United States of America to determine his unfitness, to determine that something's wrong with this president. And I would suggest that we move very aggressively to talk about the danger to this country and to our democracy.
Well, it seems it's always time to call for the 25th Amendment when it comes to Trump. It wasn't during the Biden years ever. What do you make, Molly, of this he is sort of on unprecedented ground here, Trump, when it comes to firing Cook, but there also does seem to be some meat on the bone here.
Although I think you have to ask the question, we're talking about the Federal Reserve Governor, Lisa Cook. So, and what she's accused of, the question is this fraud? Is it negligence? And either way, is that an individual that you want to be in charge or high level in an institution that's very important in America and with our finances and that we all should care about? I don't know how this will ultimately shake up. I suspect ultimately that she probably won't be in this position for long. It seems like things tend to shake out when the president is pushing in this direction, finds a way to get the things that he wants to get done. As for Maxine Waters, completely predictable, unsurprising. I'm actually surprised we haven't heard more calls for impeachment and who knows what else. But yeah, go ahead, Doug.
There's a mortgage fraud scandal. The president is within his rights, and I've been reading about this all day because I'm not an attorney. He's within his rights to remove someone from this position if they're allegedly guilty of something. If they're not, then he can't remove them. So he's certainly within his rights to say he wants to do this. So for Maxine Waters or anyone to be calling for the 25th Amendment when the president is trying to do his job is ridiculous.
Yeah, to my knowledge, Raymond, she has not yet denied having put her signature on.
No. Well, this is the problem. You can't, as a Fed governor, misrepresent on a federal document your primary place of residence. Where is it? Is it Atlanta or is it Ann Arbor? Pick one. But you didn't. And you're misrepresenting that on two separate documents. And Mark is right. There was a DOJ attorney who told the judge overseeing this is at Trump's discretion if he feels that this individual is guilty. And it looks like she may be. But here's the real larger problem when you pull out. Whether or not she gets removed or not, that's up to President Trump's discretion. But for Maxine Waters and the Democratic Party to put any political capital on the table to defend basically wrongdoing at this point, fraud in your federal documents, and then invoking the 25th Amendment for that, go get Trump on something else. But this is ridiculous.
I got to say, I was looking at it, I was open-minded. I was like, is this maybe an issue where there was political targeting? I want to look into it. And then I was like, wait a second, she's the one who sets the mortgage rates. I'm fairly certain she knows how mortgage applications work. I will say The Atlantic published an article arguing that the government shouldn't investigate mortgage fraud because of concerns that digging up dirt to target political opponents is worse. I also remember, however, that Paul Manafort was accused of mortgage fraud, and it was a very big deal back then. Why was it different?
and I think that, and like you said, that happens a lot in politics. And this is an accusation that gets thrown around from both sides, and was arguably made when President Trump was on trial right here in New York, that was a political targeting. So it's a fair question to ask. It's a fair question to explore, but it's also a fair question to say, how did this turn out this way? How did this happen? Did mortgage fraud actually occur? And then to act on.
Well, what other crimes would the Atlantic like to take off the table in politics? I mean, this is ridiculous. If it's blatant, it's obvious. It's not like estimating your wealth, which is hardly illegal. We're talking about federal documents where you are signing a mortgage agreement. That is a big deal, particularly, as you said, Mary Catherine, from a Fed governor who should know better.
But also, we have California Senator Adam Schiff and New York Attorney General Letitia James are also being investigated for similar allegations of mortgage fraud. And I'm just kind of like, How many?
Is this common?
Well, because there was a lot of these antagonistic attacks that preceded this administration. And I think if the Democrats want to get back in power ever, they shouldn't be showing this side all the time. How about trying to work with the side that's in power? How about trying to make deals together? You know, everybody brings up the Newt Gingrich-Clinton deal that was made around the middle of his term. We can see more of that. We're seeing none of that. The Democrats are not trying to work with the Republicans here.
Well, there's also total amnesia about what happened during the Biden administration when it came to political prosecutions, right? And is no one above the law, or is no one above the law? Which one are we doing right now?
They're not ever going to be able to get past that until they acknowledge that they were hiding that the President of the United States had a problem with cognition.
Right.
And dementia.
It's a wonder that Maxine Waters talks about the 25th Amendment when she stood there saying Joe Biden was sharp as a tack. I mean, this is absurd. So the hypocrisy here is crazy. If there's illegality, you've got to root it out. You have to pursue it. And the fact that you have so many of these politicians engaging in mortgage fraud, that's a real problem. They must have known the grift.
Yeah, again, much like the Biden administration, you do have to have forgotten everything that happened before now.
The U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit on Monday blocked President Donald Trump from immediately firing Lisa Cook from her role on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, clearing the way for her to participate in a crucial interest rate setting meeting that begins in a matter of hours. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit on Monday blocked President Donald Trump from immediately firing Lisa Cook from her role on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, clearing the way for her to participate in a crucial interest rate setting meeting that begins in a matter of hours. For months, Trump has pressed the Federal Reserve to cut rates in order to help spur the nation's economic growth. Fed watchers broadly expect the central bank to cut rates during the Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC. The outcome of the FOMC meeting impacts every American, with knockdown effects felt in borrowing costs from everything from mortgages to credit cards. The D.C. Appeals Court ruling also comes as the Senate narrowly voted 48-47 Monday night to approve Trump's Fed board nominee, Stephen Moran. He will also participate in the FOMC meeting that will help decide the direction of the economy. Trump last month tapped Moran, who currently leads the White House Council of Economic Advisers, to fill the seat vacated by Federal Reserve Governor Adriana Kugler, following her resignation in August. He will finish the remainder of Kugler's term, which ends on January 31, 2026. Last week, U.S. District Court Judge Gia Cobb temporarily blocked Cook's firing, allowing her to continue in her current role for now. She said Trump likely violated Cook's due process rights and that the Federal Reserve statute does not account for conduct that occurred before a governor took office, like the mortgage fraud alleged against Cook. The allegations originated with Bill Pult, a Trump appointee to the federal agency that regulates Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Pult tied Cook to a trio of properties in Michigan, Georgia, and Massachusetts, which prompted scrutiny over whether Cook had misrepresented how the homes would be used. The 3 mortgage loans were issued in 2021, before she was nominated by former President Joe Biden to join the Fed board. Pult made 2 separate referrals to the Justice Department over Cook's mortgage applications. Trump seized on those allegations and ousted Cook on August 25, which prompted her to sue him in federal court 3 days later. Her lawsuit named as defendants Trump, the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, and Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. The suit, which was filed on August 28th, centered on whether Trump satisfied the for-cause provisions under federal law required to remove a sitting Fed governor, is the first of its kind. Cook's lawsuit does not address the allegations that she listed multiple houses as a primary residence on mortgage filings. The Justice Department opened a criminal investigation on September 4 into Cook over allegations of mortgage application fraud. Her lawyer, Abby Lowell, wrote in a filing on September 2nd that she did not ever commit mortgage fraud. Cook's lawyers have also stressed both in court filings and in arguments before Judge Cobb last month the novelty of Trump's attempt to oust her, a move they argued lacked sufficient cause and could be used as a dangerous pretext to oust other members of independent federal boards.